Okay. In more recent years, you've done a lot of coverage of politics and moderating debates and so on. I was hoping to ask you how you think, or if you think, coverage of politics has changed from when you first started out to now, and how has it changed, and has it changed for good or for ill? Or
the coverage of politics?
Yeah, and of politicians.
I think we're much more aggressive now than we were 20, 30, 40 years ago. We want answers, we want information, and we have so many better techniques in going through financial records and, with the internet and statements and almost everything. So if Donald Trump, for example, wants to be a serious presidential candidate, his whole, life, business, personal, political, everything is going to be exposed. And it's now relatively easy to get access like that. You have to look at previous speeches and interviews and flip-flops, stuff like that. In the old days, you used to have to go to the library and look at research and archives, and it was much more difficult. So it's really changed a lot. And now there's the other thing that's changed. There are so many more organizations, partisan organizations. Some of them partisan, but others are just objective, think tanks that are looking at this kind of stuff. And I admire people who are willing to go into politics and expose themselves and open up their lives and their businesses and their financial statements and income tax returns, and let it all hang out. Because if you want to do that, go ahead, do it.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about is in terms of the way the world of journalism has changed and the speed of it, and the concern that in the rush to get things out there and to be first, that the concern you often hear is that we're not checking things as carefully as we would in terms of corroboration, making sure, just like put it out there, and then if we have to correct it later, we will, and there's a danger that we can make very big mistakes.
I think that's a huge problem. I think there is enormous pressure now, the competitive nature, and with the web and all the websites and the bloggers, and getting stuff out there and matching it and rushing to print before you have all the evidence. I think that's a huge problem. And it's much worse now than it was because of the new platforms that are out there reporting stuff. And sometimes they're just making it up, sometimes it's real. But I'm from the old school that says, it's usually, almost always, if it's too good to be true, it's almost never true. Occasionally, that's not true, but I don't want to be burned. I'd rather be second or third than be first and wrong. And I think that's our attitude at CNN. We would rather be right than be first and wrong. So, you want to be first, you want to break the story, but you want to be sure you have it right. The other night, when I got that call at home to get to the bureau because the president was going to be making a statement from the East Room of the White House. We didn't know what it was. Once they said it wasn't Libya, it wasn't Gaddafi, I began to suspect it was bin Laden. I didn't know if he was killed, picked up, whatever. But I began to think, why would the president go into the East Room of the White House instead of the briefing room? It's a much more formal setting. He would have to walk through that corridor. Why would he be making a 10-minute speech? And why would he be doing it on a Sunday night at 10:30 of all times if it weren't something huge? It would have to be huge. And I was told, it's huge, we can't tell you what. So my gut instinct was it has something to do with bin Laden. But you know what? I didn't want to report what my gut instinct was. I needed the facts. And so until we had it, we didn't report it. Even though maybe for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever it was, I began to suspect this is something to do with bin Laden. Otherwise, why on a Sunday night would he be addressing the nation suddenly from the East Room of the White House?